Architectural Builder's Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
It's a bright brass. It's got a button in the inside, a little turn button.
So you got a E-Series that you bought in the early 90s. Okay.
All right. And I use it. I have an electronic strike. So I have a buzzer system. I talk to people and I buzz them in. And I bought it because of that. When I closed the door, I wanted it to lock the thumb lock on the outside. But if it was my family, I wanted to be able to close the door and keep the latch open. So I turned the knob in the back. And that kept the latch open in the front. So we never lock ourselves out. I only locked it when we were home. Now, the lock itself now is giving me trouble. The catch, I think you call it a catch, the part that comes out of the door.
Yeah, there is no part on there that's called a catch. Are you referring to the latch bolt that sticks out of the edge of the door?
It goes into the other side, to the strike plate.
It's called a latch bolt.
Okay. What happens now, it gets stuck inside. You have to play with it till it pops out. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So you think you're locking the door, and it's really open. And you had told me you can't get parts, and there's really nothing you know of that other than take it apart and repair it. But I must have called...
That's not exactly what I would have said, because you can... it's true that you can't get most parts, but you can certainly get the latch bolt if you determine that's the trouble.
Oh. Well, do you think that would stop? Would that be the problem if it doesn't come out, or would it be the gears that push it out? I don't know if what's in there, but...
Could be either.
So if it's not the latch bolt...
Could be either.
If it's not the latch bolt, then what do I do?
Okay, so obviously have someone who's an expert look at the lock, someone who makes a living in locksmithing. Maybe they can determine what's wrong, or...
Well, honestly, I called every locksmith in New York, in Brooklyn and Manhattan.
Yeah, so you asked me what you could do, so let me answer. I would have an expert look at it. Maybe they can determine what's wrong and repair it. That's one. Number two, you could consider buying one on the eBay of the world. Number three, you can replace it. And that is in increasing severity of cost, of threshold of pain. So you were about to say you called every locksmith? Was that a dead end?
I called almost every locksmith, and nobody has parts. They all said it's a dinosaur, get rid of it, but you're not going to cover the holes. I'm not going to have the knob on the inside. I'm not going to have a lock on the outside. I don't want to give this up. And to replace it on eBay, it's like $1,000.
Yeah, and option three is even more costly.
Really? Where do I get a deadbolt?
Where do you get a deadbolt?
Yeah, you said that you can easily get the deadbolt. The
latch bolt.
Latch bolt.
Yeah, the latch bolt. Yeah, I can sell you the latch bolt. The latch bolt that they make today for a different series is the same latch they used in the E-Series, which is basically the same latch from the mid-20th century.
Oh. Okay.
But you don't want to spend that money because it's not cheap. That latch bolt's probably, don't quote me, but $75.
Really?
Yeah. It's $1,000 on eBay for sure.
And if I did want to buy the latch, what is it called? It's just a latch bolt for an E-Series?
It's a latch bolt. It's just a latch. Yeah, it's a latch bolt. That's
for the E-Series. Because they have bolts for... I'm sure they have bolts for other locks. Is there a lock that's available that has that bolt?
To replace your lock?
In other words, if I call a locksmith here, and I say I want a bolt for an E-Series, he's going to say, we don't have them. But if I say that it's the same bolt that's in, this series,
you're gonna order it. You're gonna order it from me if you order the part. I know.
Oh, you have them? Okay.
Yeah, I traffic in this stuff.
All right, and it's $75.
Don't quote me, but it's not cheap. So it's in that range. So what you'll want to do is before you spend the money, whether it be 50 or 85, I'm not looking at it, but it's in, it's somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. You're going to want to make sure that that's the problem.
Of course.
Because what are you going to do with it if it's not the problem?
I don't know.
Nothing. You'll put it on your desk and use it as a paperweight.
Yeah. Well, they say I should buy a wraparound. Throw this lock away.
No.
Buy a wraparound and buy any lock. No.
These are fools, these people who say this.
All right. See,
no, I said that.
I would. I would ship. Go ahead.
You're not going to easily replace that lock that's there, and that's because it's really a testament to the lock itself. Mm-hmm. It was a great lock, and let's face it, you got 30 years out of that thing, okay? Yep. And it probably cost you $275 then.
That's probably what I paid for it, yeah, which was a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of money. And realistically, for you to get another 30 years, out of spending, that kind of, huge money. Friend, it's $3 a month, and you have exactly what you want. And I don't know the guy that has them on eBay. I've bought stuff from him in the past. He's ridiculous, but I might, if I were you, I would move past the cost of that, and I would make that puppy work exactly the way you want it to work. Because any other change is going to look awful, and it's going to be a wraparound plate. Seriously? If you're a man who buys an E-Series lock, you are not a wraparound man.
I know.
So,
I would send you the lock. I would send you the lock and pay you to fix it. But what am I going to do for a lock in the meantime? It's going to take at least 2 weeks to get it back.
Yeah, I don't offer that service. I don't. If you were to walk in to my shop with it, I'd be happy to look at it with you. But the problem with repairing it is, as you know, there are no parts available for that internal problem. If there is an internal problem, it's you're surrounded by locksmiths who don't want to touch it. It's a dinosaur. Replace it. Throw it in the garbage. You know what? That's if it was a Schlage F series, absolutely, it's disposable. But
well, because on your YouTube thing, you refer to it as an E51 and an EB. Which do I have? By just explaining it, which one do I have?
It's based on what you've said. You have an E51. So the only difference between the E and the EB is when you add a deadbolt above the thumb piece, a separate lock, a deadbolt. Then you have.
That's what I have a separate lock. Yeah, I do. A separate deadbolt.
Yeah, you got an EB then. Yeah, that's all it is. So you got an E-Series grip and a B-Series deadbolt, EB.
But the deadbolt is not connected to this, though. The deadbolt is a separate hook.
Completely separate.
Completely, yeah, separate. All right. But the handle is the same in E51. Correct?
You have, forget the deadbolt, you have an E51.
Okay. All right.
So when we would have had them on the shelf, we would have had them in stock as E51s or EB51s. You want the deadbolt, yes or no? And then, you know what I mean? Then we know which part you're buying.
Right. All right, now I got to figure out how to get this thing off the door. And
very easy.
I'll tell you the funny thing. My electric buzzer didn't work about 3 weeks ago. I had an electrician, I had a locksmith come down at the same time to look at the door to see why the E51 doesn't work. So he gave me a whole new electric strike plate. It cost me $180, and he said he can't fix the handle. So now, if I do decide to fix it, it's going to throw everything off. The angles are going to be thrown off, no? No, they shouldn't be.
Why? No. No problem.
Yeah.
There should be no problem at all with that. Yeah,
All right.
I'm scrolling through eBay now, looking at, it's my goodness, this guy, and if I was recently in Wilmette and Winnetka, Illinois. You wouldn't know these towns; it doesn't matter. But it's most absolutely a more affluent part of the greater Chicago area. Every door I walked past had a mid 20th century E series or EB on it. Just my goodness.
Really?
That's why this guy on eBay probably realizes that. And it appears to me that he goes through a refinishing process, which, it's going to be better. But he's getting them from somewhere, and he may have been. Who knows? Who knows where this guy? I mean, he's got dozens of them. There's a brand new one on there for $1,320. He says it's brand new.
Really?
It's an E51. Well, I don't know if it's a 51, but that's awful. The problem is you've got those 3.5-inch holes and ain't no lock. Now, what you could do, it's going to cost you more money, but you could get a Baldwin mortise lock. It'll have nice trim, grip handle, all that stuff. You can get it with a large trim on the outside and an escutcheon on the inside and cover all those holes. But that lock alone is going to be it's going to be not as much as this on eBay, but it will be approaching $1,000.
Wow.
So, let's talk about that for a minute. If you're going to spend $1,300, let's just say, you could upgrade, and it would be a substantial upgrade in terms of caliber of hardware, to a full-blown, beautiful Baldwin mortise lock that you could expect to last a century, or you know what I mean. But you're going to have to get a locksmith out there who's going to be able to prep the door, because there will have to be new holes drilled. You could consider that. The issue, though, is you would certainly have to replace that electric strike, no doubt, if you did that, because of a feature of the latch bolts. You'd have to replace the strike with something else, with a different strike, a more expensive strike.
You're talking about if I upgraded to
the lock.
To which lock are we talking about? Upgrade to what?
Like a Baldwin mortise lock.
All right, but if I got another E51, it just fits right in.
It would, absolutely.
Yeah.
My angle is, if you're going to spend that kind of money anyway,
right,
you could look at the Baldwin options. Let's say you spend $1,000. Just don't quote me. I'm just, I didn't get enough sleep last night, so I don't remember. But let's say you spent $1,000 on the high-end, beautiful, beautiful Baldwin mortise lock. Because it's a mortise lock, it's a substantial higher caliber of hardware. It wouldn't last 30 years. It would last 230 years.
Yeah.
So you spend $1,000 on the lock, you spend $300 on the locksmith, and if you have some 25% either way, I don't care. You upgrade that electric strike because you'd have to. You permanently solve the problem. The other option is to go with a cheap lock, like the problem is you're not going to get the functionality that you want. You want to be able to leave it in passage mode. That's why you have to go to a mortise lock. If you changed the function of what you would allow for the function, where you can't leave it in the unlocked mode, you'd have to get a new grip. Actually, if you never left it in the unlocked mode, you don't have a problem with your lock, right? It's only when you're putting it into passage mode.
Right.
Yeah. So if you or shoot. Yeah, there's no good way about this.
You know what Schlage told me when I called Schlage?
What?
I told him I have an electric strike. They said electric strikes don't work with strike. I said, what, are you kidding? Any lock works with
They don't work with what?
With Schlage locks. You can't use an electric strike. This is what they told me.
You spoke to someone who's new to the hardware world. Schlage is owned by Allegion. Allegion owns Von Duprin. Von Duprin makes some of the greatest electric strikes ever. They're a sister company to Schlage. They're thoroughly compatible. It could be the one that the strike that you have installed isn't the best choice for an E-Series lock, because $180, if that includes installation, it does not sound like you have a very good electric strike.
Well, the strike itself was like $90 plus installation.
Super low end. That is, and you got to know the guy's got 100% markup on it because he's a locksmith. He has to. You know, you're not buying the strike from him. You're buying his 30 years of education in the locksmithing world.
Right.
You pay the guy for it. It's a quandary. I mean, if you're just to speak frankly, if you're reasonably well heeled, I would take the hit. I would buy the lock. Me personally, what I would personally do, if you can find a really nice one, brand new, or the finish is beautiful, and my friend, it's nothing other than you and a screwdriver in 15 minutes, you're done. Walk away. You're a hero to your family.
Yeah. The only thing is, if I sell the house in 5 years,
oh yeah,
you never know what's going to be in the future.
Well, here's the problem. You know as well as I do. If it's a problem today, you're going to have to fix it when you go to sell the house. When they haven't inspected,
right,
it's going to bite you eventually. You got a leaky hole in the roof. Address it now, or address it when you go to sell.
Right. All right. Let me see what to do then.
There is.
The locksmith that was here put oil in the keyhole. You just let it go down, let it go in, and keep playing with it. It'll loosen itself up.
Yeah, I might have done that. Oil does not belong in there. The proper lubricant only belongs in there. Yeah, there is on eBay. He doesn't show everything, but you type Schlage E series. There's one on there for $1,200. Now he doesn't show all of the parts. No, he actually does, and I think that would really solve your problem. If this guy had the original box and it was like $800, I would probably buy it just for my lock collection. I have a couple of E-Series grips in my collection.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. These are one of a kind locks. I mean, they're literally one of a kind locks. Yeah.
But is he selling it with the internal works?
Yeah, the one that I found. Like I said, just do Schlage E series and scroll down. You'll see it. It's $1,200. But for that matter, yeah, I would look to get the whole thing, only because if you bought one that was used. I mean, most of these are used. You don't want refurbished or used. You want something that's new. But you still have to determine whether or not it's the latch bolt. My opinion is that it's not the latch bolt. But I do sell a latch bolt for an E-Series about every 2 years. Someone calls and says, yeah. And then what happened? My gosh, it fixed the problem. So I know that you're somewhere in the greater New York area. If I was, and I know that from our conversation, not from your accent. If I was there, I would come by. I'm in Chicago. If I'm not in Florida, I'm in Chicago or somewhere else. I would definitely come by. I love these locks. This guy's got a brand new Parthenon. If you want to change the color and design to Parthenon, that's less expensive.
I don't like this.
It's just, I never liked the Parthenon either. I never liked it.
Yeah.
But I have one in my collection because it's all I can get.
But you don't think the bolt is the answer? I hope it is.
If I was gonna make a gentleman's bet, I would say that it's probably not, because you call them the gears. So there's a big oval assembly underneath that trim plate that's there, and that's probably where the problem is. And that's the part that's going to cost $1,000.
Okay. All right. Listen, Richard, thank you. I really appreciate your help. And
yeah.
All right, let's hope I can fix it.
Yeah, let me know how it turns out. There is a guy. There's a guy on here that has two of them brand new that are Dorchesters, a very different take, but they're a little bit less expensive. I mean, relatively. So anyway, you search it, and there's 3 listings that I saw that are of new locks, You know, I know it's painful. I mean, I'm a homeowner too. I know, but it's just how much is your time worth? It's probably worth a lot more than this. I would hope it is.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for calling, sir. Let me know how it turns out.
All right. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.